guys, happy Tuesday. Thanks for jumping on for another short stories lesson with me today. Do you remember what a parable is? That's right, a parable is a short story that Jesus used to teach his followers about God and the kingdom of heaven. He would use these short stories as an illustration to get at a bigger point that he was trying to make. And in today's short story, we're going to hear about a foolish man and a wise man and about how they built their houses. And today's story is found in the book of Matthew, which is the first of the 4 Gospels in the New Testament that tell the story of Jesus' life here on earth. But I need your help with today's lesson. In both parts of the story, there's a storm that comes up. So I want you guys, as I talk about the storms and the floods and the winds, I want you to make storm sounds. So I want you to have rain and wind, and you can make thunder by clapping your hands or patting them on your legs. But I want you to make a really loud storm sound. Do you think you can do that? Let's try it. On the count of 3, I want you to try to make the loudest storm you can at your house. Can you do it? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Make a storm. I'm sure you did an awesome job. So during our story, I want you to do just that when I talk about the storms. Got it? Good. All right, like I said, this story is from the book of Matthew. And it says, the wise man built his house on a firm foundation of rock. So let's pretend we're building. Everybody pound your nails. There you go. You're starting to build a house. And when the storms came, let me hear those storms. Good. When the storms and the floods and the winds began to beat against the house, it didn't fall because it was built on a firm foundation of rock. But the foolish man built his house on sand. This was not a firm foundation at all. So when the storms, let me hear those storms, came and the rains and the floods and the winds happened, the house crashed because it had a poor foundation. But what was Jesus trying to teach through this parable with the storms and the building and the sand and the rock? Well, he started the story by saying this: anyone who listens to my teachings and follows it is wise, like a person who builds a house on a solid rock. So Jesus is saying that a wise man is one that listens to Jesus' words and obeys them, just like the man who built his house on the rock. When the winds and the rains and the storm came, it didn't collapse. The Bible tells us that God is the source of all wisdom. In the book of Proverbs, in the Old Testament, it says this, in Proverbs 9, verse 10. Fear of the Lord is the foundation of wisdom. Knowledge of the Holy One results in good judgment. And that hearing and doing what he says is the path to wisdom and knowledge. So whenever we face storms of life, when bad things happen, if we have our house or we have ourselves built on the promises of Jesus, we're going to be like that solid foundation of a house that isn't going to fall whenever the storms come. But foolishness is the opposite of that. A fool hates wisdom and instruction. It also says that in Proverbs. And instead, a foolish person chooses to disobey God. You see, Jesus' parable encourages us to choose to be wise and build our lives on the teachings of Jesus, so that whenever the storms of life come, we have our life built on a solid foundation, so that we won't move or shake, but we are solid in our knowledge of who Jesus is and his love for us.
Jesus was on a mountain teaching everyone all about how they should live their life. Jesus lived a perfect life, so he wasn't just telling them a good way to live, he was telling them the best way to live. In fact, he was telling them how God wanted them to live. Jesus said that anyone who listens to his teaching and chooses to live God's way is wise, but anyone who refuses to listen to him and lives their life their own way is foolish. Then Jesus told them a little story to help them understand what he meant.
The wise man built his house upon the rock. The storms came and the house still stands. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The storms came and the house still stands. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The storms came and the house fell flat. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The storms came and the house fell flat. Yeah.
Now, Jesus wasn't talking about houses or weather. Jesus was showing us the consequences of choosing to live God's way or your own way. If you follow Jesus' example, you are building your life on something strong and secure. When trouble and hard times come, you won't be shaken. If you try to live your life your own way, you are building your life on shifting and shaky sand. When trouble and hard times come your way, it will feel like your whole life is falling apart. So, what will you build your life on? Let's sing this song together one more time.
The wise man built his house upon the rock. The storms came and the house still stands. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The storms came and the house still stands. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The storms came and the house fell flat. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The storms came and the house fell flat. Yeah.